Who invited you? Yeah, what's up and welcome. Guess back to Angels Reach as always. I'm Angel, and today I wanted to talk about this movie I saw. It's Film Friday, and last movie we talked about the Minions and Monster movie and how a little bit underwhelming that was. But what you might not know is that very soon after that, I went to have a double feature. I went to go see The Invite in 70 millimeter, and then I went to go see Leviticus, a horror movie that I was told was like a LGBT sort of It Follows like, and that is what it ended up being like. Spoiler alerts, but I didn't actually get to see The Invite because I went to the dispensary across the street. I got a cart. I got a little bit high. While waiting for my movie. I went into the theater 2 minutes before it was supposed to start because I went to the bathroom to pee really quickly. So I went into the theater and I was like, all right, I got 2 minutes, really 22 minutes because I have 20 minutes for trailers. And then as I knew something was off because I showed up and there was already a movie playing. Seth Rogen was already, doing banter with Edward Norton. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, I mean, I guess you really got to be here early. You know what I mean? Be on time for your tickets, I guess. I don't know. Maybe it's like really, like, it's an early screening because it's like a 70 millimeter or something like that. I don't know. I was like making excuses in my head for, the movie to be playing with no context. And I was like, I feel like I need context here because they were going back and forth bantering. Um, and so uh, I was like, whatever. I found my seat. I was E7. That's typically one of the best seats in the theater is E, uh, and something in the middle. You know what I mean? Typically seven or like I guess the 11 if you're like in like one of those big theaters. But I mean, yeah. So one of those big theaters. I'm sure there's like 100,000 seat theaters and shit like that. What am I talking about? But you know what I mean in relation to chain theaters like AMC and Regal, whatever. Anyways, I looked at my seat and there was this couple sitting in my seat, like this couple sitting, like one of them was sitting on my seat and then the other one was sitting like on the seat next to mine. And I was like, I felt so bad, but like I've been trying to work on like being a little bit more assertive and like, speaking up for myself and like yeah, stop like being a pushover all the time, and like confronting problems and stuff like that. So I was like, hey, I'm sorry. I believe that this is my seat. I'm so sorry. And they looked at each other, sort of confused. And now I know why. But they looked at each other confused. And then the gentleman looked at me and he was like, "No, that's fine. We can move our seats." And I was like, "Thank you so much." So um, yeah, so they both moved down a seat and I sat down. And then they moved another seat over and I was like, all right, cool. Now I can put my stuff down in between us as well so that we can really have some space, I think. And so I watched the last 40 or so minutes of the movie of The Invite, and I was in the wrong theater. I was watching a closed caption version of the movie, and it was already an hour or 40 minutes in or something like that. I believe like an hour in or something like that. So I was very much so confused the entire time, and I was like, "What's going on?" But like as the ball got rolling, which is something I'll talk about a little bit later, I started laughing a lot, and I did not finish, or was it? I didn't get the whole uh, movie, but I did end up like finishing it, I guess technically. And I sat with that for a bit. I was a little bit uneasy with the ending because like again I needed the whole context. But I enjoyed the watch. I thought it was really fun, regardless of not watching the beginning half of the movie. I thought it was still fairly entertaining, extremely, extremely, extremely funny. I think very relatable and very tense though. Very like what's it called, suspenseful and very like uneasy, uncomfortable. Not necessarily like unnerving, like Uncanny Valley or anything like that, but like really physically makes you tense, especially with the strings. Like it's a bunch of like cello plucks and like violin strings and like um uh dissonance and like really tight sounds. Like it's really really beautifully done. I mean, A24 does a really good job with shooting as well in general, like just framing, directing, and like I mean, shooting movies in general, they sort of have a look to them, and it definitely worked in this movie. I ended up watching it in 35 millimeter, which I don't know if that's the standard thing or not. Somebody told me that it was, but um, I ended up watching it in 70, wanting to see it in 70 millimeter, but missing my chance because I was awkward. And I made this couple move, you know what I mean? Like, I made this couple move seats, and like to leave the theater after doing that, I just felt so embarrassed and like an idiot. So I just stuck it out and watched the closed caption version and missed out on the 70 millimeter version. But I really enjoyed it. I really thought it was super fun for what it was worth. And then I went to go see Leviticus really quickly. This Film Friday is about the invite. Just to make it clear, I'm going to be talking about the invite, but I wanted just to give a little bit of context because this has been ridiculous, and I wanted to discuss this, and I haven't had the time to. But yeah, so after I watched the captured version, the wrong version of the invite that I was supposed to watch, I sort of like sulked around the theater for like an hour until the next movie started, because like my movie was supposed to give me around like 20 minutes in between the movies, but like instead I just meandered around. And then I went into the theater, and it was so small, and I forgot how intimate the theater was. And I watched Leviticus, and it was, I mean, it was cute. It was a nice little, you know what I mean, like sometimes daunting, bleak, uh, dark horror movie about, like I'm downplaying a lot because like I don't think I'm gonna make a film Friday about it, but it was like a really nice, simple horror movie about like going against what like society want. Oh my gosh, not going against what society wants, but like being your own person and not being afraid to, be yourself, and not being afraid to show it. And at times being able to needing to repress things, or being repressed, and the sticking true to who you are. It's a really dope horror movie. I really recommend checking it out if it ever goes on streaming platforms. But it's not in the theater anymore. So Leviticus super dope. But I saw that after the invite, and I kind of like, I'm a bit, you can tell, like a bit biased as well from that, because like I like sort of missed my movie opportunity earlier, so I was a little bit in a sour mood, but I still ended up having a decent time at the movies. But so I missed the invite basically, and I I watched a pretty dope horror movie, and I was like, I don't think I'm gonna make a film Friday on Leviticus, so I think I'm gonna have to rewatch the invite, because I really really enjoyed it, and I would like love to see it like in its entirety. And so like I was like scratching my head, because I was like, Leviticus is a pretty good movie as well, but the thing is, I also uh I also have to give props to it because it ended with a Frank Ocean song. It ended with Self Control. My fault for spoiling it. It's a beautiful song about like letting go, and about like a partner that makes you lose your self control, and like losing yourself in someone. It's one of my favorite songs, if not my favorite song of all time. So like it's incredible, and it made sense with the movie and the message, and you know what I mean. It was really dope. So Leviticus, flowers, flowers, flowers. But the invite, I was like, I need to watch the invite. So I texted my friend. I was like, hey, are you down to watch the invite later down, like tonight, like on a whim? And he's like, you know what? Uh, and then before he can answer that, I was like, or maybe might want to watch Evil Dead Burn or something like that. Or I think he might have suggested that. But either way, I was like, I kind of want to, I need to rewatch this movie, and it'd be dope for you to come along. And so we watched that. And I think we plan to watch something else today as I'm recording this right now, but it's not Friday when I mean, I'm telling the story or whatever. But oh my god, I gotta stop getting into tangents. It doesn't matter, bro. The dates don't matter. Um, but yeah, but we were supposed to watch Evil Dead Burn, but then we were just like, oh, that's not the woo after what happened. So yeah, no, it's Wednesday as I'm recording this. I'm kidding. I'm fried. I'm going into work later today, and I'm talking to my homie about Taco Bell and stuff. But the lettuce and stuff, and the tomatoes, the produce is bad apparently. Oh my god, this is a movie review. Let's get like to the point. I'm so sorry. Jeez Louise. So I told my friend I gotta rewatch the invite. Let's watch it. So I watched it with him, and I absolutely loved it. I absolutely loved it even more with the full context of the movie, like the extra hour that I missed out on, extra 40 minutes or something like that. Because now that I'm thinking about it, it's not like a 2 hour long movie, but it's hour 30 or hour 40, something like that. So first of all, first and foremost, directed by Olivia Wilde, and starring Olivia Wilde. She is absolutely brilliant, absolutely fantastic. The script for this, like the story, the character, the dialogue, the direction, the filming, like the shooting, everything about this movie is incredible. I like am constantly being like, why do I not want to make this a 5 star review or whatever? And like I like can come up with a few reasons, or like, oh, I would rather this, or like even if it's personal preference and stuff like that, like things that would change. I have like ratings and stuff like that, but this movie is genuinely like amazing. Like it's really like all killer, no filler from start to finish. A friend of mine said, actually, the friend I saw it with, I don't know what I'm saying like that, but the friend I saw it with said it took a minute for the ball to get rolling, but once the jokes started landing, the once the jokes started getting into the picture, like it was one punch after another. It was it was all downhill from there. All downhill from there. I feel like that seems more negative, but like it was all like easy from there. Like it was really dope, and I agree. I think you viewed it more as a comedy, and I was like, no, I think I believe it was a little bit more of like of a drama because it was very stressful. Like uh throughout the movie, I think they made a point to have like again those strings and like the music being really like good indicators of stress and relief, and like they played with sound incredibly well. The two biggest things I loved outside of Olivia Wilde's performance, because like Olivia Wilde was absolutely insane in this role. She absolutely killed it as Angela, the like sort of not jittery, but like nervous housewife that's sort of breaking down and like wants to impress the neighbors and wants to like sort of be seen as normal and live this normal life, and like has all this weight and stress on her that she's carrying. Like this, she's like this insanely eye twitching like wife character that Olivia Wilde just brings to life on the screen, and like you can see her like slightly get decroded and like slightly like die off more and more as the movie goes on, and it's an absolutely stellar performance. I am in love. I am like in love. I'm gonna rewatch the movie again definitely while it's in theaters. But insane performance. But one of the things I like besides the performance, and I'm gonna get to the other actors as well because they did a great job, but is the two main things really. The direction as in terms of like the shots, the film, like the actual shots that they decided to get, like the framing of everything and the direction choice that they went with. Uh, Let me actually get into that really quickly. They have some incredible shots in this. First of all, I saw the 35 millimeter one, which is like it. There was a little bit of like grain, and like there's like definitely like a film quality to it, and there was like little bits of like the film breaking and stuff like that and cracking. It was really dope. It really added to the hominess of the entire movie. It felt what my friend said, and I agreed with. Personal. It felt very up close. A lot of the shots were super intimate and forward, and like if they weren't super up close and like direct face shots, or like nervous reactionary shots of like Olivia like scratching her neck or like looking over crying, or stuff like like nodding off or like looking scared or nervous or like eyes wide peeled or shocked, or if it's not like one of those, it's like a beautifully composed shot of like that's like telling more than it's saying, when it or that's showing more than it's whatever I don't, it's telling more than it's showing, whatever, I don't know, but like the idea that like there's beautiful shots of like Olivia and Seth Rogen on different sides of the room being divided by like a wall, like a wall lining or door outlining, or you know what I mean. And there's oftentimes lighting gets played with intensely, like shadows, like darkness, and soft lighting, especially when there's like intimate moments, or like again the lack of lighting specifically, like when there's colder moments, or when there's conflicting moments. I remember one of the later scenes when they sort of come to an understanding that their relationship, spoiler alert, isn't super going that well. Seth Rogen's character Joe doesn't even feel like he knows Olivia's character Angela anymore, or like vice versa. Like they feel like they don't know each other, and it's very cold and dark, and you can't really see their faces in the shadows, and that's really beautifully done. The lighting, again, super soft and intimate. There's some romantic moments in this movie that get played really well, especially like in Joe's room. The yellow like fluorescent lighting, the lamp lighting, and like the sort of like hobby woodsy nature of his like room. Like from what I remember, it was very like hobby tinkering room, like relaxation office workspace place. And so that was super dope, and that lighting got played with very well as well. Got played with well also. Jeez. um so like the shots and like the composition and the framing of a lot of stuff, like they told a lot, like a lot of stories, like a lot of stories. I'm really a fan of the way that this movie was shot. It felt very up close, tight, and personal, especially the way the film and everything was shot. Everything felt close, and like you just felt like you were knowing, you felt like you like really knew this like couple. Like I was gonna say family, but like their daughter isn't really in the picture for the movie, but you really get to know this couple. And it's like I saw this term recently, like of like an all-in-one like an all-in-one movie where it's like all takes place in like one location, you know, like or semi, because I guess there's different rooms, but like all in one location essentially. And I think that like that's super interesting to think about, like the restriction of like settings and like everything, the focus being entirely on like the characters and like not really relying on like the settings changing or outside forces. It being a controlled environment, you know what I mean? It really is an exercise of writing to see like, can you make people entertaining, like talking to each other, or do you need like a super crazy like alien attack to happen for your characters to be somewhat interesting or confident or brave, you know what I mean? Like it's really dope to see characters just interact with each other and be entertaining and bounce off each other. And that's thanks to Seth Rogen's writing and like really funny moments, but it's also thanks to um Olivia Wilde's direction and her storyboarding. Like it's insane. Like her and Seth Rogen bounce off each other so well, and then you couple that with Penelope Cruz, who just like absolutely physically demands the room. You know what I mean? Super daunting and like super like intimidating and like hot, like mysterious dark presence in the character that she plays. Very like sexual in the end, but like just very like demanding in the room. And like it's like very like intense character. And then you uh add Edward Norton into the mix, who's like a very famous like dramatic actor, can really play a character, and plays this character of Hawk, like this really like troubled, like weird, fully honest, can't be read sort of character. And it just like combines to a hot pot of like really weird and funny interactions, and they played off that really well. I saw like that this was based on a novel or like a play or something like that, I believe. And like I think that that's really interesting, reading a book about like a couple coming over and like the like a couple trying to impress them, and like that sort of like I was gonna say two man, Jesus Christ. So the idea of like a double date, like the awkwardness of it, especially as you approach like later in your life and stuff. It's yeah, I mean I can definitely imagine the awkwardness of it all, and it was super palpable on screen. Again, Olivia absolutely directed the shit out of this. Now, again, to go back to the two things I mainly like in this movie, apart from the film and the way it was shot, was also the music. Now, I think my friend would agree that it was like super like again, it was really like tense in a lot of moments. The strings were super like high pitched, or like ringing up or getting I don't know, they were ringing in a pretty like creepy way. And they there's a professional way to put it. Like I really am like blanking on it right now, because I'm just thinking more of like the feelings, like very eerie string plucks and like rises and like violin notes being held out and shit. You know what I mean? Just very scary moments like that, or very creepy musical moments like that, that just really piled up onto the experience of the movie. I mean, it was really intense in certain moments, and like uh a lot of the highlights in the movie, ironically enough, are kind of sort of the relief you felt after a scene, where it was like you could like feel yourself lowering your shoulders, or you could feel yourself like actually exhaling, and like or like stop holding your breath, you know what I mean? Like because the arguments that were being had were super stressful, and like the different miscommunications and like the inability to communicate and the misunderstandings that were happening throughout the whole movie, I mean, were incredibly, I mean, stressful to say the least, for lack of a better word. You know, it was just really like intense the entire time, and like again, all the actors contributed to that really well. It sort of felt like four people in different corners, like each playing their side really well, and like the chemistry I think was incredible. I think it was really well done. I cannot recommend this movie enough. The Invite was, I mean, an incredible feat of storytelling, like highlighting both like the peaks and the valleys of a relationship that was not working. You know what I mean? I think my homie's favorite part was like the ending of it. Again, spoilers was. Penelope Cruz's character, the sexologist, having a sit down with the couple and sort of helping them realize that they weren't in a happy or healthy space at all, and that staying together specifically for a kid and remaining unhappy when they can be separate and like live more fulfilling lives it was like a really good realization, or you know, the idea that they could, you know, be more honest and find a way to work through it together, because obviously they sort of seem to both want it to work out. And you know, even at the end when they talk about like what's going to happen now that they're seemingly like divorced, and Olivia Wilde just even says like at the end, like we'll talk about it, we'll figure it out. You know what I mean? And it's the like the just like the absolute power in that statement, or like the uncertainty of that statement, I think is really dope. And so yeah, I can't recommend this enough. The highlight of the movie for me really is Olivia Wilde. I think now that I'm when I was watching the movie, I kind of just loved it all. I didn't really highlight anybody just because I absolutely loved the synergy that they all had. Nobody really stuck out to me specifically. I just really enjoyed the movie. I couldn't think, like, I was actually trying to think of something that I didn't enjoy from the movie so I could be like, okay, so that's why it's not perfect. You know what I mean? Like, I'm kind of nitpicky in that way. But like, I really just like, after like a few seconds of thinking of like what I didn't like, I was just like, man, I just really enjoyed the entirety of the movie, like the way it was shot and like the jokes that they made, and like yeah, like I just thought it was dope. I just thought it was really funny. I just thought it was like a really awkward like watch, and I enjoyed myself the whole time. I wouldn't mind rewatching it again, and I probably am going to, like I said. And yeah, please watch Olivia Wilde, fantastic, also starring in it, insane Seth Rogen co-starring, Edward Norton co-starring, Penelope Cruz co-starring. Penelope Cruz also absolutely showing her acting chops, and like I yeah, dude, I find it what's it called? I find it hard to almost like give props to like a an actor when there's an actress like sharing the screen with them, because they're almost always like mogging them, like they're almost like incredibly like more talented than the men, like almost always, you know what I mean? I remember I confused Olivia Wilde with Samara Weaving, because I was just thinking of Blonde Wives, and so or like Blonde Wives on the big screen, I guess. And so I was thinking of, I was like, where do I know like Olivia Wilde from? I was like, was she in Over Your Dead Body? I was like, I think so. She was with Jason Segel, right? And I was like, oh, I was surprised by Jason Segel's performance there, but I even still think Samara might have taken it. And I was like, oh wait, no, that's not Olivia Wilde, that's Samara Weaving. And I was like, but she's an incredible actress too, who I think like outperformed like the actor. And I think it's a little bit unfair because I think Seth Rogen was a little bit more towards the comedic side. But even still, no, I think comedic wise, like some of the faces that Olivia was pulling, again, the eye twitching crazy um uh, like wife that wants to be seen as like good, like that sort of reputation and everything, like that character was incredibly palpable, and you could feel it throughout the whole screen. I gotta stop saying palpable; it just means like you can like really feel it, like a very thorough. I guess I don't know. I don't even know what it means, and I'm using it. No, but yeah, just you could feel the character throughout the screen throughout the whole time, and it's an incredible time. I really recommend watching The Invite. It's an insane movie. If you can watch it in like 70, 35 millimeter, something like that for sure. But if you could just catch a showing of it, I really recommend it. I mean, something to get a conversation going, like on a Saturday afternoon. Pick a fight with your, like couple, you know what I mean, like with your partner or something. No, I don't recommend watching it with a partner. It's really like stressful. Again, like very, very tense the entire time. Very stressful miscommunications and failure to understand, no comprehension and stuff like that. Just weird moments. Yeah, really dope. What I will say is that I think it did end on a beautiful note. Like what I did miss, I had a conversation with somebody at the end of my double feature film, and I asked them if they saw the invite, and they were like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Listen, I went into it like an hour late, and I was in the wrong theater. Did I miss anything?" And they were like, "No, not really." And they're like, "Well, you missed the context for this." I'm like, "Oh, also this." And then they're like, "And this." And then I was like, "All right, seems like I should just watch it." Then and so I did. I'm glad I got like the little bit of context. And like, it wasn't like a little bit. It was actually a fair amount of context. I know that it was actually the less I know, the better. Actually, kind of. Wait, hold up. Tame Impala. Someone said they live together. No, it's actually like the more that I knew, the less that I knew with like the more context I knew, the more I was like, oh, okay, cool. So that's kind of weird for this part of the movie, or that's kind of weird for this part of the movie. You know what I mean? Like the more that I found out, I watched the whole movie. You should watch the whole movie. It was really funny that like I didn't see parts of the movie, and I was like completely like not completely lost, but I was fairly lost, and I got context, and it only helped me out a little bit because it was still like a very awkward and not hard to understand situation, but just like really awkward set of events that happens throughout the movie that I mean it will have you like on the edge of your seat because you'll sort of want to duck your head down, you know what I mean, like very not necessarily cringe moments. Yeah, there are a fair amount of cringe moments, but just more so intense is the word of the day, I guess. Just intense moments that are very well written, that'll make you laugh or that'll make you just I don't know. It's a really dope film about relationships and the lengths that they go to, and about being honest with yourself, about communicating and understanding your partner. The ending shot was fantastic. I love the beginning with like the slight flashbacks to like what his life used to be, him being happy and playing piano with his soon to be wife, and then the cut to him immediately alone in the classroom, like the empty shot of like all those seats it being dark. I think that was beautifully done. Again, the film, the composition in this movie, the way it was shot and the direction, I think it was just super dope. Storyboard and all, dialogue and all, just really dope. And again, the dialogue again, probably something I didn't touch about enough. Aside from the like, I mean, immaculate comedy that I think that was performed just because the awkwardness of it all. I think the dialogue was just really realistic and funny. Like the conversations and the interruptions and talking over each other and the like. There's a lot of times Olivia and Seth Rogen's character were talking over each other like as couples do, trying to sort of prove themselves to the couple, and very like respect over certain couples talking and like like even just like repeating the last word of whatever they said sort of thing, or like asking questions, being like super what's it called, enthusiastically curious about their sex life and stuff like that. Like all of this stuff made the characters like super lovable, and like specifically upon rewatch, seeing all like the sexual tension that's like accidentally created, and like just like the awkwardness or like again the awkwardness and intensity of everything is really fun to see it accidentally be built up. It's sort of like one of those modern family misunderstandings, you know what I mean, where like Phil accidentally says something racist, or like kid accidentally says something sexist.